A lot of Black women do not take accountability for certain choices and decisions they made to be where they are now. Women try to sit in these seats and tell another Black man what he should be doing. It's not received. I always say there are a lot of great men out here. Maybe they're not making six figures. Maybe they don't hit the 6'2" mark, but they're good men who will be good men to you. Black women complain about having to hold the masculine characteristics, but it all leads to a sum of choices that they made to get to where they are. A lot of women would hear this conversation and be like, you're a pick me.
It's coming.
Welcome to another episode of the That's Scary with Melanie P podcast. I'm your girl, Melanie P, and we're here to have a conversation. We're here to have a very sticky conversation today. Let's get it started, y'all. We are talking about today another post by I Am Taylor Chandler. Now, I Am Taylor Chandler is really aligned with some of my new thought processes on the Black culture, specifically Black women, the direction of where I want my content to go, and just kind of my focus, right? I feel like we're at a space now in this back and forth, right, that we have between Black women and Black men and the decline of Black families and Black unity and Black community. And I have been doing my podcast for a while, and I always said that I wanted to do my podcast in a way that would be helpful to Black people, right? In a way that would be helpful to relationships, right? And I say that because I obviously have been in relationships and I've experienced things, and I've also have experienced a lot of growth in situations, right? And so when you sit back, even if you don't have a podcast, right? When you sit back and you look at all of the red pill, blue pill, green pill, yellow pill content, it's all so divisive. It is divisive conversation. It is divisive. It's just like, okay, we get it. We get what ain't working. We get the divide. We get talking about stuff that, Black men are, the catch, whatever. But what is the answer? And in a lot of my evolution of thought, right, it has me looking a lot within, and it has me looking a lot at Black women. And I think that the best way to move forward with this conversation is for Black women, such as I Am Taylor Chandler. She is actually an educator. She is a therapist. She is a doctor. Black women like herself and other Black women who are focused on Black women and elevating us mentally, physically, emotionally, and in all the things. I think it would be advantageous to focus on Black women, to focus on myself, my community. And honestly, I think that it would be the best bet for these Black podcasters out here to do as well, these Black male podcasters. I think it's great that we can have conversations and point the finger at those who don't have the same thing between our legs, and talk about what they should be doing, But I think that the message is more impactful and more easily received if it comes from another woman. I have said that Riva TV, I've never really been a fan of hers in the past, because looking at her content, it always came off like Black women. But now that I'm looking at it differently, I don't know a lot. I've never really watched her videos, to be honest with you, because of what I perceive them to be. So I do need to go back and watch them. But I understand the thought process behind a Black woman telling another Black woman, okay, girl, take accountability, take the covers off your eyes, and let's focus here. And so I think that's where I want to go moving forward. As of now, that's where I want to focus. I don't want to be bashing any men for the most part. I don't want to do that. I just don't want to be a part of that conversation, where I feel like that conversation is best had by another healthy Black male. I think that oftentimes when women try to sit in these seats and tell another Black man what he should be doing, it's not received. It's not even processing in his mind as something that he's going to receive it, because of who the person is giving the information. But I often talk about grown men talking. Please follow them. Please subscribe. But here's the thing. I fuck with that podcast because this is a man who's made mistakes, who is married, who is a father, who believes in the tradition and the values of marriage, who believes in Black men being healthy, focused leaders and providers for their women. And he's currently in a space to where he's providing that security to his wife. And so from what I have seen thus far, I think he's a good example to other men especially a man that has a large platform, I don't really feel like he's bashing women. I feel like he's kind of holding them accountable, but I would hope that his focus would be more so on helping these other Black men at least come to Jesus the way he has. And then if people like this lady, Taylor Chandler, myself, Reva, the other channels, we can kind of help hone in and bring in the Black women. Because here's the thing, it's so cool and it's popular to talk about, oh, niggas ain't shit, women ain't shit, but like, let's keep it in house. Women teach women, men teach men, and then we kind of come together when we see an evolution of learning and change, right? So with that being said, I want to play a clip by I Am Taylor Chandler. I thought it was very, very interesting. So I've had this conversation with other women in my community, and they are actually on the side of I Am Taylor Chandler. And it's interesting because those women are not the women who they're not on the podcast. They're just regular Black women, married, healthy situations. They're regular Black women who don't have platforms, but a lot of them agree with what Taylor Chandler is about to say here. So let me play this.
Men have had the most resistance to accountability, not just in my practice, but we just see it across the board. Black women seem to have, I don't get any pleasure saying this, y'all. I think this is super sad. Black women seem to have trouble taking responsibility for their own impact on their lives and have a hard time taking responsibility for course correcting in order to change. Black women have resisted coming to the table. Women are largely silent. At this point, y'all, it's not a good use of time to try to shake women out of a stupor. And it's so sad. If you're a woman like that, come out. We have to move on to people who already get it, men who are already on board, women who are already on board. We cannot stay here with y'all anymore. Black women have had the most resistance to accountability, not just in my practice, but we just see it across the board. Black women seem to have, I don't get any pleasure saying this, y'all. I think this is super sad. Black women seem to have trouble taking responsibility for their own impact on their lives and have a hard time taking responsibility for course correcting in order to change. Black women have resisted coming to the table. Women are largely silent. At this point, y'all, it's not a good use of time to try to shake women out of a stupor. And it's so sad. If you're a woman like that, come out. We have to move on to people who already get it, men who are already on board, women who are already on board. We cannot stay here with y'all anymore.
So we're talking about Black women not being accountable. Now, this was very interesting to me because I had to put a lot of thought about this topic, Black women not being accountable. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you, it's triggering to me because anytime I hear Black women not, I don't know, it's just something about it that triggers me because I feel like Black women do so much. Black women are put in so many different capacities that maybe they should not be put in on so many different levels, and they hold the brunt of a lot. So when I hear someone saying that Black women do not take accountability, it's triggering for me and my homegirls. But then I started to put a little bit more thought behind it and just did an episode about Cardi B. Now, granted, Cardi B is not technically a Black woman, but her story is a Black woman's story, right? She is currently in a relationship or trying to get out of one with Offset. So take Cardi B out of it, but look at how this correlates. You have a Black woman who has a baby by a Black man. This Black man that she chose to have a baby with, that she chose to marry, he has made several women baby mamas. He has been abusive on some type of level to these women. His track record may not be one that you would think and you would be willing to bet on that he would now all of a sudden magically look at you, make you a wife, and now he's no longer a cheater, he's no longer abusive, and he's going to just be this stand-up Black man. Now, I also have reserve with that because I do feel like people can change, but maybe that's just me still being naive, I don't know. But it goes along with taking the accountability of the result of the situation. So when you look at Cardi B and Offset, for an example, you chose a man who had that track record. You got the same results that he's consistently given to someone, even if you back up a little bit more. And again, Cardi B is not Black, so this probably is not the best example, but I'm just thinking about current topics because this is very common, right? This is a woman at the end of the day making a choice. And now you are forced to be accountable for your choice because this man is doing to you what he's done to the other women he's dealt with. And so now you are in a horrible situation with a toxic man and wondering how I got here. So I feel like it kind of goes back to the situation and the conversation I've said before is that women hold the vaginas, women hold the power to produce children. It's awful. You can lay down with a man, open your legs, bust it wide open, have a sex with him, have a baby with him, and now life has changed. And now you mad at this man because you're like, oh, well, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. I need this, I need that. But it kind of started with you. And that's something that I've had to really kind of just wrap my mind around because it's not something that I have thought of that way. I have always thought that when a man and a woman lay down together and decide to have a child, then that is both their responsibility and no one holds more onus on that situation or that child than the other. But the unfortunate truth is that Black woman, you made that choice to give that man something so valuable as in your vagina. And now you have birthed a baby. You have been pregnant for 9 months, birthed a baby with this man who gave you all these red flags of not to do it. So I don't really know what Dr. Taylor is alluding to when she speaks about the accountability. But when I see that, I feel like that's one of these things in the relational umbrella of Black women having accountability in the kind of partners that they choose. There are also, some would say, relationship patterns. You know what I'm saying? Black women have to be accountable for patterns in choosing the same kind of man, dating the same kind of man over and over again, and thinking that all men are the same. You know, it kind of goes back to this whole Kendra G, right? Everybody wants the same man. And a lot of the men say, even Kendra G say that, oh, y'all all want the same man, but that same man, there's not enough to go around. So now what you gonna do, right? And I feel like that kind of aligns with the relational umbrella and components of being accountable for where you are relationship wise. Black women may want a 6'6", 6-figure plus man so they can be a stay-at-home mom and whatever. But does that even make sense? You know what I'm saying? I mean, I just feel like in my way of thinking, a 6'6" man who makes 6 figures literally might not be the best, smartest option for you. And it's really superficial. And so you have to hold yourself accountable that when you get that man and it doesn't work, you can't just say men suck and there aren't any good men out there. You made the decision to make the measurement. You made it an issue. You made it a thing when you decided to measure a man and his goodness and his value by his height and the money he has in his pocket. You made a conscious decision to say that I need a man who's 6 this, I need a man who makes 6 figures this, and nothing else matters. And so now when you're with that man, or when you're alone because that man is taken, or that man may not want you back, then be accountable for where you are relationship wise. You know, I always say there are a lot of great men out here. Maybe they're not making 6 figures. Maybe they don't hit the 6'2" mark, but they're good men who will be good men to you. So then when we have a lot of these Black women out here talking about these superficial requirements that they want in a man, it's making a lot of the other Black women look bad, because I just don't think that that's where the masses of women where they are. You know what I'm saying? I think that we have to do a whole lot better relationship wise. And I agree with her. There are a lot of things that we should hold ourselves accountable for just simply in the dating process. If men see women easily giving it up, if men see women not loving themselves by their body, right? You know, not taking care of themselves, investing a lot of money in weaves and wigs and all types of stuff, but you are in debt, like, we have to hold ourselves at a certain level and not get mad that when we don't hold ourselves at this certain level, the men don't either. You know, we have the conversation about the Sexy Reds of the world, the Aries of the world, the Young Miamis of the world. Like, they're the faces that are constantly being portrayed on TV, on social media as these bad bitches. And that's the goal. Be a bad bitch, be a bad bitch. Give me my lace front, give me my lashes, give me my wig, give me all this stuff. I want to be a bad bitch. But that's not the parameters of what I want Black women to achieve and to go after being a bad bitch. You know what I'm saying? How Black women show up on TV. I'm not gonna cap. I do watch Zeus. Okay, I'm getting better. I'm getting better. I'm going to delete it one day, but it is entertaining. So I'm not gonna sit here and cap in front of y'all. Like, I do be watching baddies because it's entertaining. But when I sit there and I watch baddies and I watch. Here's the sick part of stuff like baddies. Natalie Nunn is a biracial woman who has made several negative, colorist remarks about Black women. Some of the worst comments I've ever heard a woman in this space say about Black women, and now she basically is their pimp. And she has gotten successful by having Black women come on her show, scantily clad, fighting, cursing, being it's like her show is a bunch of sexy reds. And we should not be okay with that. Like, she, to me, is a racist. I really don't like Natalie Nunn. I'm not even gonna cat with you. I think she's a danger to the society. I think she's a danger to Black culture. But at the end of the day, I'm saying that out of one mouth. And then on the other hand, I'm about to give them my $5.49 or $6 next month. And so we do have work to do. We have a lot of work to do. But on the flip side of that, here's where it's just scary, because we all talk a good game, but what are we doing to put that to action? Zeus has had other shows on their network that were... I remember Drea had a show. It was kind of a boring show, but it was a show just kind of showing about her life. Worst ratings ever. Baddies is the #1 show across the board, and it portrays Black women as just the lowest of the low of the low. Most of those women on there who are fighting, other women have kids. They're on there constantly smoking weed. They're rolling up blunts, and Natalie has become their pimp. And it's very, very disgusting. But at the end of the day, we can say it's disgusting all we want, but it's #1. So somebody's watching it. So there's a lot of things that I feel like we have to do. And I think it's very important when we have women like this, Taylor Chandler, to kind of have these conversations, open up the door to these conversations, and do what I always say do, and hold that mirror up to your face. Black women. You know, we're so easy to point the finger at Black men ain't doing this, he ain't doing that, she ain't doing that. But what are we doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, we have to start with ourselves and holding that mirror up to ourselves. Now, attitude and communication, right? I'm trying to think of things that we have to kind of hold ourselves accountable for, because even as I was listening to Taylor Chandler talk about Black women not being accountable, I really had to sit here and think. So I 100% can see the relationship situation, choices, decisions, you know, who we having kids with, all that, you know, what we deem as a high value man, how we show up on these dates, how we show up in the world, how we present ourselves to the world. Like, there's so many things on that level I feel like Black women have to really, really, really hone in on. That I agree with. But then I started to think about, like, what else can I say? Now, unpopular opinion. When I go, and this is not often, but I am not the only one. Me and my friends have talked about this often. Have you ever gone to a government building or gone to some type of customer service space and got the worst attitude from a Black woman? Listen, I hate to say it. Y'all, the way my boobs are like falling in this thing is so scary. I'm just being honest. Like, I'm just being honest with my experience. Like, this whole thing about Black women showing up masculine, Black women having these attitudes, Black women having these kind of strong communication styles. You know, I don't feel like I'm not comfortable. And this is where I want to hear back from you, because I want to know if, like, what your thoughts are on this. Because I'm kind of like new to this way of thinking. But Black women's attitudes and communication styles, there needs to be a level of accountability, you know, when it comes to that space. Why is it a thing that a lot of Black men think that Black women are very combative, Black women are very masculine? Now, as I ping pong in my head about, you know, why Black women may show up as masculine, oftentimes Black women are put in these situations to where they are forced to wear a masculine hat because there is lacking masculinity in their community, in their space. But see, then that goes right back to You chose to have a baby by a man who isn't showing up. So now you're having to be a mother and a father. You're having to be a mechanic. You're having to be these things. And while those things might make you have to step in a more manlier space, what decisions did you make to get to where you are, that you're having to show up as a man with masculine energy, not as a man. I hate to say that, but, I feel like a lot of Black women would say, well, I have these kids by this man and he's not doing this, or I have a man and he's not helping me in these certain kind of ways. But it's like, why are you choosing to be with that man? Why did you choose to procreate with that man? Like, it kind of all goes back to decisions that you made to get here. And again, that stings for me to say, because I'm very much pro Black women 100%, but we're at a phase and we're at a season of holding that mirror up. So when I hold that mirror up to myself as well, okay, Black women complain about having to hold these masculine characteristics based on their situations, but it all leads to a sum of choices that they made to get to where they are. Going back to communication style and attitudes, very triggering, right? Because I hate this. Black women are so aggressive and whatever, but I'm sorry, but I've heard people say this about government fish, about, oh God, I just use that term, Lord Jesus, about government women, about customer service women, and some of them are very rude for no reason. They're very nasty for no reason. And I'm going to say that because I'm sorry, like, I got to keep it a buck. It's my experience. Like, sometimes Black women can be very nasty in these spaces for no reason. And it's awful because sometimes you'll get a white person or a non-Black person. And I'm not saying that, our basis is comparing ourselves to white women or other races and groups of people, but there is a constant conversation within the community about the attitudes and the masculine communication styles of Black women. So to me, I'm just trying to understand and trying to pull together what things can Black women be held more accountable for. Here's another one that I think people don't talk about a lot, but I feel like Black women are doing really good at this now from what I see. But being held accountable for their health and wellness. I think this is a space that Black women are doing really, really good at as far as holding themselves accountable for their health and wellness. I actually think this is a space that Black men need to kind of come up on a little bit more. So I don't really have nothing to say about that. But again, this is me trying to understand areas of improvement of accountability that Black women can take. I was having a conversation with some of my girlfriends about this topic, and one of my friends said that Black women do not do a good job of taking accountability of their actions and seeing wrong in their actions. And I thought that was rather deep. I'm going to actually read what they said. Now, verbatim, we don't see the wrong in our actions, how we react. And if you don't have a good friend circle, your girlfriends will hype your bad behaviors. People in general, not just Black, blame everything for their situations, but themselves and their actions. I hate when people blame the devil. Ooh, now that's something. Black people will blame the devil. Black women will say the devil made them do it very quickly. But I don't know, I'm sitting here thinking, I'll put a little bit more thought behind this, because I know a lot of relationship wise is kind of where my focus goes, to the lack of accountability with Black women. For me personally, I just feel like a lot of Black women do not take accountability for certain choices and decisions they've made to be where they are now. And then it turns into hate for Black men. It turns into grouping Black men all under one umbrella, because now you're mad that John Doe did you wrong, and you're mad that you had a baby with John Doe, but John Doe didn't force you to have that baby. So at the end of the day, it all starts with taking accountability and looking at yourself in the mirror. I'm gonna take a look at some of these comments. I think accountability feels hard because our Black women's thought process is flawed. When someone tells us to fix something, a lot of us hear, I'm bad. When we hear this thing that I'm doing negatively impacts someone I love, We have to stop associating negative criticism with our self-worth. Oh, and get better at handling difficult emotions, but the convos for another day, child. I'll never forget how my ex suggested that we get counseling, but when the counselor started pointing out her faults, she stopped going. I found myself going to counseling and she never showed up, which is now why she's an ex. It's a huge problem. Most of us literally glorify everything negative that leads to our destruction. Women over 30 are still supporting networks that show us fighting nonstop. Doechii, or whatever her name is will only perform in underwear and they love it. It's time to move on without them. A lot can be done when we do it together. Me again, I loved your balanced messaging. I think she does a really good job of her messaging points, and I think women will be very receptive and are very receptive to how she communicates things that we can work on as women, as Black women, to show up better. Somebody put rational 0, willingness to learn 1, accountability 5, blame deflection capacities plus 11. Queen, may the ancestors give you the necessary strength and courage to continue this much needed conversation, which will allow us to begin establishing the framework, which hopefully will be able to unfold and put a stop to the program of social engineering, which have been effectively weaponized against us for centuries. I have to agree. And I think that's where the disconnect comes in, because a lot of women would hear this conversation and be like, you're a pick me, you're a pick me. And that whole pick me BS is another thing that's keeping us captive. We're not pick-me's for wanting to show up better. That doesn't make you a pick-me, you know? You deliver this in a way I can see some women accepting. Now, I will say, men are going to love this, because even, men help the men, women help the women, and we come in and meet in the middle. But there are those toxic men who love to hear anything negative about Black women. Now, to their defense, I have a sibling, a brother, and, very financially great. He's in a very financial, good standing, upstanding man, husband, provider, all the things. And he always says that him as a Black man, as a good old wholesome Black man who just wants to be a good old family man, he could not imagine how it would be dating with women's ideologies nowadays. He would feel so uncomfortable because it feels like all women want to do is get to the bag, get money, and not provide anything of tangible worth, but just be literally a liability. And that's not me talking. That is a Black man looking at what he sees, and what he sees Black women are portrayed as everywhere he turns. And just the thought of having to go out here and date Black women is alarming to him. And again, it's not all Black women, but it's a good amount. I don't know, y'all. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think. Black women and Black men. Let me know what you think Black women need to be more accountable on when it comes to kind of looking in the mirror and making themselves better. This is a scary question because I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. It's something that feels very, I guess, pick me. That's not even a word that I even ever use. I just heard somebody say it, but now it kind of lingers in the back of my mind. Like, if you're saying certain things and it gives a pick me energy, and I don't ever want to be that, but truly I don't care what nobody thinks, to be honest with you, because I'm still learning, and I'm learning in real time, and I'm evolving my way of thinking in real time, because like I always say, I know a lot of great Black men, and that is my norm. Like, that is what I'm used to. Great, healthy, mentally healthy, clear Black men who are providers, filling up the gas tank, doing all these things for their women. And so for me, that is the norm in my community. So how can that be the norm in every Black woman's community? That's the thing that we need to talk about. Anyway, y'all, let me know what you think about this episode in your comments. Leave them below. Healthy, engaging comments, y'all, to come to some agreement. And I'll see you on the next episode.